All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Manhattan Community Board 11's Youth and Education Committee March meeting. My name is Ash Rodriguez. I'm the chair of this committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:36 p.m. All right, before we begin, a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. All right, next slide, please. All right, so roll call.
Okay, committee members, there are 8 members total on this committee, 5 are needed for quorum. David Giordano. Present. John Green. Malik McCullough.
Present.
Doug Meyer.
Present.
Thank you. Jessica Morris. Asha Rodriguez.
Present.
Isaac Scott is excused. Russell Schuler.
Present.
All right, thank you. The minutes I'm gonna skip over that. I'll be done with those next week. Because I already know, we get Blair. All right, all right, announcements. The New York City Kids Rise Save for College program provides families, schools, and communities with a way to work together to invest and save for their children's futures. It is a scholarship and savings program designed to make college and career training more accessible and achievable for public students. It enables us all to work together to build assets and support expectations of educational and economic success for every child. So that's a opportunity for the youth in the community. All right, next. Is there any other announcements? Yeah, you go.
Next week, on next Friday, Children's Aid Society on the 21st will be hosting part 3 of Healing, Community Healing event, where we'll be having an event with youth on healthy relationships, and we will also be working with Not Another Child. And that will be from 5:30 to 7:30 at 131 East 104th Street, located at PS 72 Lexington Academy.
What's the name of the event again, David, please?
The event,
The name of it again?
Healthy Relationships. It's part of a series of healing, community healing events.
I see a hand.
Part 3.
No, no, who's hand.
That's Imani Gambia from the district attorney.
Okay, hey, Imani, I'll get to you in a second. Appreciate you being here. All right. She has her hand up. I have a feeling she has to leave, so we'll go to her first. Imani, you could speak now. We're gonna hear from our city agency partners. Gonna go a little out of order. Imani?
Hi, Imani, I'm promoting you to panelist, so hopefully, yeah, you can.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for giving me the time to speak. It's great to see all of you again. I know it's been a while. I did just want to join this evening in covering for my colleague Tayari Hurd, who couldn't be here this evening. But I did want to let you all know that we are still accepting applications for our high school internship program, which we host every year. Students must be eligible by being sophomores, juniors, or seniors who reside in Manhattan, and they can apply with a one-page resume or and an essay stating their interest in criminal justice. They can apply for that directly through our website, and we will be paying the minimum wage, which is $16.50 this year. Applications are still open, so please have your youth, if you know any who are interested, apply within the week or so, and we really look forward to reviewing more applications from D4 students. We also have another opportunity available called our Youth Ambassador Program, and we are specifically looking looking for 2 youth from East Harlem to come to our office and represent the area and tell us more about what they're seeing in their community in terms of public safety concerns so that we can work with them collaboratively to address those concerns, give them a platform to address all of these issues that they're seeing and ways that they would like us to strengthen in partnership with their community. And additionally, this program is also paid $16.50 an hour. Applications can also be found on our website. And again, we really look forward to reviewing some applications from East Harlem students. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Imani. Pleasure to see you again. Is there any questions for Imani before she has to go? All right, thank you, Imani. So now I'm gonna go to Dr. Christie. Is Dr. Christie on?
Yes, yes. Dr. Cruz?
Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I just have tomorrow we have our CEC meeting, so I'll give a more, I guess, comprehensive update. But 2 main things, it's summarizing application time. So again, please, if you're interested in summarizing, please apply. If you have questions about this process, please reach out to your school's parent coordinator. I'll drop my email in the chat. The other thing I would like to share, and all are welcome to join, our first Civics for All Community Forum is this Thursday, March 13th at Tito Puente campus. And I'm super excited because our youth have helped us plan this day. And so the students are really going to share some of their participatory budget proposals. It's going to be a fantastic day of just hearing from our youth. Stephanie Herrera, I had confirmation today. She's going to announce the 6 schools that will be on the participatory budget proposal at this meeting. But really excited for Thursday. And we have a lot of things going on. Nancy Pereira, if you want to know, we have a financial literacy session that's tomorrow. We also have we have a lot of different family empowerment opportunities that are available. So we're really excited for everything that is happening. We're also doing our academic sprint or boost, just to encourage our young people. All of our D4 schools have, at least for elementary, have access to iReady, which is like a personalized instruction platform. Students have like a My Pathway and more information to come about it, but we found that if students do 30 to 50 minutes per week, if they're going to see at least 1 grade level of growth. And so we're really going to like do this boost to help all of our students and families. But those are some of the things that are going on right now. Again, for a more comprehensive report tomorrow at 6 p.m. We have a hybrid option for our CEC meeting. So it's at 6 p.m., either virtual or in person at 155 377. So a lot of great things going on. But I really do want to thank our Community Board 11. Thank you to each and every single one of you for your activism, your support. You always support our D4 schools, and just know that we see you and appreciate you, and anything that we can do from our end to help strengthen the partnership, we're here. At the community forum, just so that you know, we will have a brief moment of silence for Dr. Hazel Dukes. As many of you might know, she passed away, but she supported our community, especially our D4 schools, in the pandemic. The NAACP, I think it's important for everyone to know, gave us approximately 1,000 devices during the pandemic through the Education Excellence Initiative. And that initiative was kind of inspired when Dr. Hazel Dukes visited PSMS 171, Patrick Henry Prep. And so we are going to have a brief little contribution from the 171 community on Thursday, just honoring Dr. Hazel Dukes for all of the ways that she's supported our D4 East Harlem community. So thank you. I'm here for a little bit, but I'm going to put my email in the chat. Please email me any questions or concerns, feedback. That's how we get better. So thanks to all.
All right, thank you, Dr. Christie. If you could just state for the record your email.
Oh,
Just so we
yes,
have-
I will stay for the record. Thank you so much, Asher. It is K as in kangaroo, DELACR. The first 6 letters of my last name. The KDELACR at schools.nyc.gov. If you send it to K Dela Cruz, it's going to go to Karina. That's not me. I'm Christy. So please, only the first 6 letters of my last name, KDELACR at schools.nyc.gov. And thank you so much, everyone here, for all the ways you support our community. We appreciate you. We see you, and we thank you for all the ways you support us. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Christie. I unfortunately will not be able to be at the CC meeting tomorrow because I have class, but I will watch back on the recording. Is there any questions for Dr. De La Cruz? She has been such a great asset in collaborating with us, so thank you. Any questions? All right, seeing no questions, thank you, Dr. De La Cruz. Is Elizabeth on from CC4?
Hey, Asher. Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Soto Cardona here. As Dr. De La Cruz mentioned, we're having our meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. at PS 155, PS 377. That's 319 East 117th Street. We had a great meeting last month, and we introduced 3 resolutions. We were able to pass one, and that was resolution urging New York City public schools to promote inclusion of and correct bias against English language learners in the administration of the SHAT and admissions to specialized high schools. And those are my only updates for this month. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Is there any
I'll miss-
questions for?
I'll miss you, Asher.
Is there any question for Elizabeth? All right. Seeing no questions, thank you, Elizabeth. Anyone from CC5? All right. Is Rosa on for Manhattan High School's President's Council? All right. She usually sends us stuff. She didn't send me anything this month, but if she does end up sending it, I will distribute it to the committee. Is there any other youth education advocacy groups? All right, seeing none. All right, Devon Howell, I spoke to him earlier. He said he was gonna try to get on. He wasn't sure he had something going on.
Okay,
Is he on?
I don't see it defined how.
Alright, so he said, I told him if he's not,
Shrimp.
Shrimp?
Yeah,
yeah,
shrimp.
No,
Okay.
we have guests here, but none of them are by that name.
alright. Okay, I told him I'll put him for next month, to not worry about it if he isn't able to get on.
Okay.
So now we have Joseph Bertoni, okay, my bad. Alright, who is in person with us, so. He was referred to us by Rosa, so looking forward to.
You were right, those slides. I can. Slide it for you, no problem. And what other, do this? Sure, you may do that.
No, I'm fine, I'll find it.
Yeah, and the mic and camera are here, as well as also here too.
Okay, no, wherever you want me to be, I'm fine. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to everybody here. Before I even really start, let me explain how I did get here and why Rosa has been so supportive in wanting us to reach out to the community. Obviously, you know Rosa probably better than I do, but as chair of CPAC, among many other things, and CEC4, et cetera, Manhattan High School stuff, we are involved in family engagement, which I'm going to speak further. And we recently met with the Deputy Chancellor, and I know the Chancellor is involved with this, and We have a meeting coming up with the UFT as well on all of that, well, what we're talking about, because what we're talking about is something that may have transformational, literally change that a real paradigm change. So without going further ado, let me just kind of get into what we're talking about so you can see what we're talking about. That's a pretty bold statement. If you see on the slide, we're reshaping the human economy, but quite frankly, that's exactly what we're doing. The way we're looking at doing this is ensuring that every child thrives by making family engagement the standard, not the exception. We all know how important family engagement is in a child's success. In education, we know that teacher effectiveness is compromised by the lack of family engagement. But even if the parent of the at-risk child wants to help, a lot of times they don't even know where to begin. They don't have the skill set, they don't have the technology. They come from a different culture. They've had bad experiences with school. They were at risk themselves. Life is really hard. Families are split, etc. And we need to open that up a little bit further, I guess is maybe the best way to do it. So how do we go about doing what we're talking about? Well, within education, we look at leveraging existing investments in education with scalable and creative tools. We have patents to basically, instead of metric reports, it's more like a video game, which becomes a lot more fun and easy to comprehend, et cetera, what we're doing. We want to weave family engagement within education, not in its own separate silo that you're so familiar with, but really into the fabric of everyday education. And I have spoken across the city. I have done professional development for all the parent coordinators for Queens high schools, both North and South, District 27, et cetera. And I do speak nationally on this subject of family engagement analytics, because that's really where to go. So anyway, I see where this kind of gets a little messed up a little bit here. But anyway, basically, lower family engagement, lack of family engagement has a lot of different impacts. One is it obviously has lower student achievement. It heightens disciplinary issues. It increases the dropout rate, which, and increases risky behaviors across the board and introductions to crime. How many times have we heard about the pipeline from school to prison, basically? We have annually 3 million dropouts across the United States. 1.8 million people are incarcerated. And one of the probably biggest statistics that I find surprising is we have a 10 million skilled labor shortage, even though there are 11 million jobs available, but people don't have the education to be able to take those jobs. And that becomes a problem. So what are we trying to do? Our goal is to create productive and contributing members of society. Another part to this that I think I really want to highlight is that most kids stay in their community. If you want a community improved, it's not a cost of education, it's an investment into your future by working with your families. We all know that in a sense, right? There is a big disconnect within family engagement. One is parental, 50, there are an amazing low statistics for family engagement in our public schools. Educators are not educated to work with parents. That's one of the biggest fallacies and something that we talk about and we work with a lot, as well as cultural, state, and federal disconnects. We talk about everything of not just family engagement of what the parent coordinator does with the parent, or even what that parent and teacher relationship is, which we'll get even further into it, but really the disconnect even between teachers and administrators and policy, et cetera. How do we make this seamless and work across the board? The issues we see in education today are not pandemic related. They've always been there. We just highlighted it through the pandemic. So where do we get, how to start with this? Pardon? Leave it to Beaver, right? Some of us remember watching that show, but a lot of us have heard about it. And basically, way back when, back in the 50s, how did we get to the problem we're at now? Well, Beaver had a problem. Miss Landers would call Mrs. Cleaver in the low rate. She would go down the yard and talk to Ward, and in 30 minutes, both the Beav and us learned a lesson. So what's changed? Number one, the teachers are overwhelmed. There's more than they can possibly keep up with. Mrs. Cleaver's traded into pearls. She's working full-time, sometimes 2 jobs, right? Mr. and Mrs. Cleaver, in many cases, don't even speak the same language as Miss Landers. And in at least 50% of the families in our areas, basically, Mr. Cleaver is not even there, right? How do we change this cyclical issue between the haves and the have-nots? How do we make that bridge across the board, And that's where really what we're talking about. That research knows, we know exactly what to do in family engagement. The problem is it's too expensive. Studies have shown that it would cost over $1,200 per student to be able to provide the same things that an engaged parent would be involved in. So you see how much this is. So what we've done is we've taken this further to basically strengthening the parent-teacher partnership, right? One is moving parents up a parent engagement curve, which I'll talk about real quickly, elevating the role of a parent as a partner, and think about that. It's your child, you're responsible. Everyone talks about making the parent an equal partner. It's how do you do that? Because quite frankly, a lot of teachers don't even mean to, but they talk down to parents. I mean, who uses the word pedagogy in real life, other than teachers that you know? Build trust in communications, right? That's something that our entire community needs to work with, considering the polarization. And the key to all this is measure and correlate the engagement to achievement. Because once you do that, you've got a return on investment. And that's basically, for all the studies it's done, no one's ever been able to tie this amount of family engagement will give you X improvement in student performance. And that's what we're about, okay? So how do we do this? Well, our approach is, number one, treat all constituencies with care and respect. All parents should be valued based upon who they are, simply as stated as far as that's concerned. Develop a platform to support understanding and transparency, which you have to think from a bureaucratic standpoint is also the exact opposite of what a lot of bureaucracies want. They don't want anyone to know what they're doing. And when you have efficiency, well, then you knock down their little empire. So you need to be able to do this. The other key is just don't develop vanity metrics. Let's have impact, something that we can plan for the future. And on top of all this stuff, it's got to be simple, right? If we're going to be doing more of this stuff, make it easy and a positive experience. So that's what we're all about. If you looked at any ed tech solution out there, they always talk about parent communication, but it's more than parent communication. And basically, all these systems are teacher focused. We are family focused. That is where we need to be. So in our case, we are family focused. Beyond that though, besides just that relationship between the teachers, you also have other groups, the family engagement coordinator, community-based organizations, multi-tiered systems of support, et cetera. IT, which has to be involved in this as well as us. But then you can go a little bit further. You've got the principal, district administrators, et cetera, besides the teacher who talks to this child. Faculty advisors, guidance counselors, homeroom teachers, football coaches, basketball coaches. I was an ice hockey coach for 25 years. One of the things that always pissed me off is when it came time to playoffs, somebody or multiples were on probation, no matter how much I tried to be involved in this stuff. And that is something that I wanted to see. So how do we connect all these stuff together? Basically, we have a system called Opus, the online parent understanding system. It has a corollary to team called the teacher engagement administrator module, which takes it even further. But as you've seen, I've talked to a lot of various DLTs. The classic expression that one of the UFT representatives said is, "This is the first solution I've seen that's collaborative, not adversarial." This is a win-win-win. It makes it easy. It makes parents get more involved. Teachers have become more efficient, and behind the scenes, we develop unprecedented analytics. And we're the first ones to do this across the country, as I say. Instead of being able to do a demo, I just give you some slides. So basically, when a parent logs into their system or they collect it, and this would be on their phone, and they basically see tiles of each one of their children. When they click on the tile, they're going to get tiles of each one of that child's classes, colored red, green, yellow, how they're doing in class. We can also look at that based upon their expectations. Or get happy faces or expectations are met, and sad where they're not. Where do they come from? We have a family background piece to this. Think about it. The school's got a student information system. The teachers have a grade book. If a parent's an equal partner in their child's success, where do they put their info? No one asks for it. We do. And between these, we ping across the board. So that we have even the ability for a person that if you go, what's going on in that class, to click on that class and bring up the entire class. According to FERPA, you can't give information, private information. This separates the data from the information. I can't tell you who those kids are or what they are, but I can see all the greens and the yellows and the reds, and I can see how my child fits into the class. You know, is this too easy? Is this too hard? I've only got one third grader. You've got 60, and I don't know as a parent. And this is how you start developing the ability to see what's going on. If parent expect satisfaction is based upon meeting expectations, I would be clicking right here where it says expectations, and it would bring up happy faces where expectations are met. Each parent is different. Every child is different. Sad faces where, you know, it's not being met, and gray circles where there's no family engaged. And this becomes really fun and interesting. My child's at the top of her class and I'm not happy. I'm the idiot. I'm the helicopter parent. I don't even have to talk to the teacher. The teacher's going to see other kids down in the middle where they're going to ask, what do you see that I don't? Maybe it's making sure that study habits are done regularly, homework at the same time, etc. Maybe it's an extra 15 minutes of tutoring to get the kid over the hump. Other kids have IEPs, you know, and learning disabilities. They may be performing well according to that, but a parent still wants to see, how does that relate to the real world? What do I have to see? What do I have to expect? And this helps really good. But the biggest key is the gray circles. You know what you know, you know what you don't know. You're always surprised to find out you didn't know what you didn't know. And if your parents have never been involved in education, you don't know what to do first. It sits, right? All I have to do is hit the gray circle, you know, basically, this is it. On our studies, parents use this on an average of 1.5 times a day. It's the number of touches, just like practice with basketball, hockey, you name it, etc. But here's the classic. How many numbers have you seen? None. Right? But you know more about your child in 1 minute than you ever would looking at the systems that are available in New York City. I go, which is really key. Behind the scenes, I can also take the grade point average where the parents are engaged versus where the parents aren't, and show you the value of family engagement even down to the classroom level. That little bit changes the paradigm across the board. I can develop protocols for what a teacher needs to do. The unions like that because it is established what they should be doing. You know, you can change the rights across the board, etc. Now that I know what's going on, now I can message the teacher. We dynamically translate. The teacher sends a note in English, parent receives it in Spanish, Bengali, their native tongue. They answer it in their native tongue. It goes back to English for the teacher. In a school in New York, a teacher can send a note with one click to the parents of the entire class. Date and time stamped, audit trail, translated in 5, 6 different languages. That's efficient. That makes things really effective. You can't see because where you're down here, there's a thing here that says show student messages or is typical messages.
The people online can see it?
Okay, well, anyway, and basically the idea is that a lot of times parents don't even know what to ask. We provide that ability for them to see it, including a question that says, I have an issue and I need a translator. Because without knowing that they have that right, they're going to, out of pride, not talk about it, and you'll lose and delay another generation. And that's basically the concept of what we're doing, right? OPE is transferring family engagement to support, we reflect real world needs and deliver better outcomes. It alleviates the stress for K-12 educators. They can see where things are at. It highlights red flags, family engagement missing early and prompts what we need to do. It establishes a clear hierarchy, as I said, standard protocols for what we need to do and how to make things happen. And we integrate and overlay all the existing systems, so nothing has to be changed. The cost effectiveness on this is off the charts, basically. So back to where we had showed this screen. You can look at it. We have lines of communication, analysis, and support to basically coordinate everybody. Basically, we manage keystrokes, so it's not extra work for everybody. In which case, all those lines act like almost like a safety net for the families. And that is basically my presentation. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take them. By the way, Rosa sent me a note that said she's online now.
Yes.
So who's on?
Rosa, yes.
I have a few questions, but I'm gonna open it up to the kids.
So at first I wasn't sure if this was a curriculum, but it's more of a database system that's interactive for parents.
Yes. Think about,
Teachers would have to also buy into this as a, like, you know, what gets everybody working and what is the cost? We're talking about who pays this cost.
sure, I will go down, there are 3 questions there. Number 1, yes, it is the ability for a parent to get more information. The typical questions a parent asks as they go up this curve is, not only is how's my child doing, how are they doing according to their abilities? How do they fit in with the rest of the class? And then how are my expectations as a parent being met in relation to all the other parents? Am I the crazy one? We
So
all
we're
upset?
asking everybody else to do more work. If somebody's gotta input the data.
No, the parents have their background to do this. It takes about a 15-minute background and the thing just runs. Instead of the current systems in New York or on top of that, this plays like a video game. So you can use it very quickly. Yes, sir.
Right.
I'm just gonna be for real before I ask my question. Oh, you're not done, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah, that was the first question. The second one is, because we manage keystrokes, the teachers still do the same things they do, and it becomes a reporting tool for them as far as understanding all the
How does
areas.
the information get from the teacher to?
The teacher does the grade book, right? And we just pull from the grade book. So they don't have any additional things. Similarly, the parents don't have any additional.
So how do you get access to the grade book?
We work with IT, and it's basically a plugin that pulls.
The IT and the DOE.
DIIT, okay? As far as the cost for this, I'll tell you what we're looking at in general terms, but it's also paid by the district, okay? It's not from the parents or the teachers, but here's the thing. We charge roughly $12 a year, $1 a month per child, and if anyone told you that family engagement isn't worth $1 a month, you know, that's kind of low. Basically, in a 500 student school, that would be a charge of $6,000. But if we're able to increase attendance by just 1%, right? And you know what attendance looks like these days, that's 5 FTEs. The budget that they would receive at $15,000 that are, you know, other than the, you know, this, that varies basically, would be a $75,000 increase to the school for a $6,000 investment. And that's basically why this is looked at, you know, basically across the country right now.
So in some essence, this is part of the role of the parent coordinator. I mean, part of the role of the parent coordinator.
This improves, if family engagement becomes more and more important, we need to elevate the role of the parent coordinator. And in order to do that, you need data behind it. And to be able to analyze what we need to do, they become the point person because they can see everything, the discussions with the teachers and the parents, the family backgrounds, et cetera. And they end up basically providing professional development to the teachers. It really integrates them into how do we start training teachers to support family engagement and be listened to the parents. It doesn't change the amount of work that a teacher has to do. They just have to do it with the knowledge of that it's working as a partnership for the parents.
Okay. So I work in a school, I'm in a classroom every day, I'm a paraprofessional. And I'm also like, I'm around the parent coordinator enough to know like what she does. I think, how is this necessary when we have other platforms that we do use that currently work? I get the translating thing, but it takes like 2 seconds for a teacher to put something in Google Translate, the same message, and send it out to all the parents. Like my teacher, she literally sits there, she writes it in English, she translates it, and I've seen multiple teachers do it, and just put it on the same document.
Sure, that's nothing that, okay, basically,
Yeah.
the thing what you're thinking about is, and let me put it this way, all the systems that you're doing now, you say they're working well. How are they doing in relation to student achievement? You can't tell, you can't identify, you can't quantify. If it's not managed, if you don't know what their level of family engagement is, what we do is start quantifying that. It's all geared towards correlating family engagement to student achievement and attendance.
I know how it's working, however, I don't wanna give too much information because that's
Right.
that's not my place, however. I also think like the whole comparing to the rest of the class. I'm thinking about like an ICT class setting where a lot of those kids, they are a little bit under, they're gonna get like a sad face on their thing.
No, on the contrary.
Oh,
Basically, if I have as I mentioned before, the IEP, I'm measuring fine where we're at. Because you are still measuring according to what that IEP is, what the parents' expectations are, et cetera.
well,
However, the other part to that is, nobody is seeing this grading or this ranking other than the parent. All right, I agree with you. I don't think we should be publishing ranking like crazy at all. But
I think it's dangerous.
the reality is, That's how you get into colleges, that's how you get jobs, it's based upon performance. And the reality is, you need to see it. As one, we've done pilots already in New York City. As the principal said, is we have an atmosphere of complacency. And if we don't tell them where we really stand, we're never going to improve. And that's really what the heart of this is.
But that was just like a little bit, like the statements where I get what you're saying, but it's like you're saying the student with the IEP is gonna be measured where they're at, but then also they're getting measured against everyone else. I'm just a little bit confused. I'm not trying to be critique, I'm just
Right.
trying to understand because,
Well, the way it seems is that,
yeah.
like this IEP students' information and grades would be placed in, if you could go back, I guess, to that slide, right? Would just be placed in that bubble or that slot. But we're seeing like these happy face and sad face, is that the input of the parent and themselves?
Yes, the parents are putting in what what their expectations are of the parent, of the child, and that's what it's measuring against. So in other words,
Measuring what a parent is expecting their child to do.
yes,
Or is it, or measuring what the parent is experiencing with the?
well, let me put it to you this
So
way. All right?
everybody's expectation and perception is different. We could all be in the same classroom and interpret very differently that teacher. And then we're asking parents who are not in that classroom to interpret so that I can look at there and make judgments on how.
No,
So
that,
like, where's that personal, like, what's the interaction here? My interaction is I pick up my phone and I look at a bunch of pictures, whether it's smiley faces. I'm trying to understand,
you.
like, what am I getting from my buck? Other than some, I don't know. I'm
A
just-
better understanding, basically, let me put it this way,
You know, parent
two-
engagement is, you're a parent. I come
two
speak to you. That's
pieces,
parent engagement.
I agree with you, you're never gonna miss. You need that personal, the parent-teacher partnership, which this is what's strengthening, but basically, across the country, nationally, this is really well known. That people think our systems are broken, our education stinks, et cetera. Yet they think their kid is fine. When in reality, they're not, because they're never exposed to seeing where things are at. A parent, you know, even going back to, and this sounds so funny, like Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. The idea is a teacher will tell you your child's doing fine, don't worry about it. But you don't know, you really don't know if that's true or not. And that's what this kind of helps to validate. How many times have you ever heard this classic, my Johnny's an angel? And the teacher goes, yes, but I have a classroom of 20 angels. A parent needs to see their child in context, the way the teacher sees them. There are many other things. We're just looking at grading at the moment on this. Okay, at the same time, who knows that child better than the parent? And I need insights from home, you know, to understand what's going on. So I get a much more holistic view of that parent. And that's basically what this is about.
Based on what? See, I'm trying to.
Oh, there's as I mentioned, we ask parents questions at the beginning. It takes about 15 minutes to fill out, but it's based about, as an example, the first question is, where does she reside? You know, because does she reside in more than one place? Because the point being is families are broken, dad, husband, son, right? Where do they live with? The next question is, what languages are spoken at home? Because this will change to whatever it needs to be. The next question is, how is the family doing? And the choices are, we're comfortable. It's not asking how much money you are, it's how are you? And it's, we're comfortable, we're getting by, we need help. And what is the purpose of that is to identify the stress levels as the teacher on which that's at. What the stress levels in that child's life. Picture the parent coordinator getting a list of all the parents that fell through the cracks that said they need help to find out what's going on. And this is how you start alleviating the things. That's why I mentioned about the CBOs and the MTSS, different supports, et cetera.
But we have all of these already, like,
And
Dr. Christie mentioned iReady. Parents can go on iReady and see exactly where their child is at on grade.
but the parents have to go. And the problem is parents won't go. It's over the head of most parents. And that is the problem. Even people do not look at metric reports. This plays much more through the senses. I could show you other things getting into where from a brain, communication and the things you're talking about sit in the frontal lobe. And that's just pragmatic. However, connectivity, engagement sits in a different part of the brain, which also ties to our senses. As we learn through our senses, we see things differently. It ties to our emotions and you get happy. I've seen parents in tears, happy that they can understand what's going on. And lastly, it gets into our decision making. And if you're changing the morale of a parent, to do this. Otherwise, literally, your engagement rates right now, looking at the internal systems within New York City are probably, and I'm telling you because this is the national average, somewhere between 8 and 15%. That's just not going to move the dime. And you know how hard it is where we're trying to talk about improving student achievement.
But I think this is now, it's adding extra pieces to it that isn't necessary. We have,
No, you're
So-
missing, no, you have all these pieces and you need to glue to blend them all together. Related to the way a parent looks. And the only reason I bring it up so strongly on that is this has been a CPAC is very supportive of this. These are the type of things that separate the engaged parent is already using your systems, but they're not the ones you're trying to reach. You're trying to reach the parents that are hard to reach, that this is over their heads, where that's too hard. And that's what this is all about. It's not dumbing it down. It's basically taking everything and providing the information in a way that is eye level with their ability to understand.
that's.
Why
what
would a parent use this when they don't use the things that
Yeah,
you're saying now?
thank
Like what, like?
But it's
what-
so darn easy. Literally, that's basically it. And you'll learn more about your child in one or
It's
two
so
minutes.
easy to call your school.
And they don't. But
It's easy.
instead of playing Angry Birds or something, you'll look at your phone and do this like that.
See, I
You
don't
work
do that.
for
I'm a social worker,
Uh-huh.
right? I find like something like this, that we're taking a general survey and putting it out there. And then making inferences of how connected my child is with my classmates, with the school, and it's like. I don't know, it's like again, another digital divide that we're adding as opposed to the interaction, right, again. You're now asking a teacher to say, go in here and do something else, right? No, who's doing the work? Like, where are we getting the data? Like, data can be interpreted many different ways, right? Even in this and looking at this, it's like, oh God, well, these kids in my kid's class is sad. Or parents think they're sad. I don't want my kid to be around this, right? So I don't even understand. I'm responding to pictures that have yet to tell me the story of what all the sadness is. Because I would have to go and say, what's going on in your class, teacher? That all of these interpretations are sad faces
And
or misinterpretations of perceptions.
I think comparing a child to another child, no matter what, I don't think any child should be compared to another child. Each child is an individual child. It gets a little murky, and I think you have good intentions, so I don't think it's any bad intention. However, as someone who's in a school, it could get very murky. And that could do something for a kid's self-esteem, that they see that they're a sad face,
Oh, on the contrary, they're not seeing this.
but you.
Oh,
I don't know.
you don't think a parent's gonna go,
Parents,
what is this?
yes.
Sure, and you're gonna have to understand where it is, and the reality is without doing that, and I'm not talking about undue pressure, because most parents, and believe me, we have seen this. Parents know where their child is at, and that has been something that we've been able to identify very well. I agree with you on some of these open issues, you know, and we are spending time with the DOE investigating that even further. However, there is not, if you say that what you're doing now is all that is needed, you're not going to.
I'm not saying.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, great, but you follow what I'm saying.
Clarify, I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah, that you have to see this in action with parents to fully comprehend how quickly they grasp this and go, this is what I want. And we've done this, as I said, you know, whether it's inner city schools, rural schools, across the country, and you find out that the issues, no matter where you go, seem to be the same, you know, that parents need a simpler way to understand all the information, because there is a lot of information involved with that child. But how do I make sense of it so that I can move forward and understand? And what it does is it really establishes a dialogue. It's not left on
But
its own.
who's speaking to the, like,
It's not speak.
right?
No,
so-
you're contacting the.
So,
teacher at
okay,
that
now
point.
I see this,
Right.
and you've enlightened me, not enlightened me, you frightened me. Who do I go to?
Talk to the teacher. That's
But
exactly right.
What about
And-
parents who are doing the best that they can? What do you think that does to someone that they're doing the best? Cause I'm in an EML classroom.
Yeah.
So half of those kids do not, they're learning English. And they're doing the best they can, and then those parents, I will say, care for their kids like I've never seen before.
For sure. I've
What do you
been
think that, what do you think that does to someone seeing a big sad face when they're doing the best they can?
They're not seeing a big sad face. That's the point. They would be seeing a happy face. They would know what their kid's ability is, and they're going to see that child improve as they stay involved with this.
Who puts in the sad face emoji?
Okay, let me explain. Okay, I think my son's going to get a 90 in biology. He's never gotten an 80 in his life, right? And this question that comes up is, the teacher is gonna go, oh my gosh, the parents have unrealistic expectations. Don't do anything. The minute that, here's the thing, is let's say we give even homework, right? When the teacher posts homework in their grade book, our system goes in, sees who didn't do the homework and sends a note to the parents. Johnny's late with his science homework. And even if you don't have this on a smartphone, it'd still be a text, Johnny's late with his science homework. And even if you were illiterate in your native tongue, and this goes towards migrant workers a lot of times, it would be Juan is late with his science
Who
homework.
put in that there's homework? So like some
The
place.
teacher.
Right, so the teacher has to go in every day and decide and then say.
Well, the teacher has the grade book now, and that's what they're
But
doing.
Right,
we
but
could do that already, like when I was in high school, there was every
wait,
time I missed
no.
an assignment.
You have, the teacher has the grade book. How does your program get access to it?
Through DIIT, to just ping the information.
So ODI,
Yeah.
they're not ODI, Office of Technology and Information, city agency.
Right,
They handle tech.
so now with access to city's agency.
Well, I know, it's actually the DOE system.
Oh, it's the DOE, but-
DOE system, all right? So basically, yeah, you're pinging the data, you're not writing to their database, their systems are still the system of record. According to FERPA, there's all kinds of contractual and security issues, et cetera, resolved, assume that that's resolved,
Russell so forth.
huh?
Nothing.
So anyway, and basically what happens is, the as I'm using that as an example, you're talking about alerting, what does that change for a teacher? Number one, when a teacher says, typically what happens now, okay?
So it would have to be the whole school that gets into it.
Oh, yeah,
It would be an entire school. What schools in New York City do you currently?
Well, right now, no, we have done pilots in New York, and the key
And what schools have you done pilots? So that.
in Queens.
Yeah,
Okay, so basically though, what we're looking at is looking to expand this. And again, this is why, I've done
I would
presentations.
need to speak to those schools in Queens to understand how they use this and how it's beneficial.
Well, I can tell you real quickly, the grade, and again, this is not a real study. The only reason I bring that up is because, no, you have
I mean-
IRBs, et
I
cetera.
mean, but wait a minute, I mean, you're doing a presentation here and you. Go ahead.
No, when you say a study, you have to look at, there are really tight stuff. This is just, we'll say empirical data, okay? That in a school of 700 students, K through 8, with a 23% average grade equivalency, for lack of a better expression. In the year that we did this, the verbal scores went from 100 less ones and 100 less twos, which means that if the ones moved up to 200 twos moved to threes, which is from a C to a B. That's pretty darn good. Math was even higher than that. The parent leader for this school told the district superintendent that we had increased parent engagement tenfold. And what I would say is it wasn't our software, it was really the focus on family engagement that we were leading on all that stuff. And that's the best way to try to explain it, because it doesn't happen. It's not naked technology. Technology doesn't do anything. It starts changing the focus and the paradigm, but you need a basis of data before you can start making changes realistically.
So
I plan an event, I get families out, like we made an announcement, we have a healing event, people come out.
Sure.
We engage the community. That's engagement, that's family engagement. To me, the rewards of that and people coming and sharing and is a greater engagement tool than me looking at, I don't know who's
A
responsible.
lot of times the schools we have, like, let's say,
I would love
a lot of
to see it.
times when the schools have a problem contacting a parent. Cause pretty much almost, Dr. Christie can correct me if I'm wrong, if she's still on. But almost all the schools in East Harlem have a CBO, if not all. We have these resources in place to contact a family, and a lot of these families who we've had trouble having engagement with. they don't want a screen to be the communication between them.
It's not.
So essentially what I'm getting from this is like a tool to build metrics that can help facilitate
Yes,
the engagement on the parental level.
without a doubt.
Okay.
And actually, this is, I have to tell you this much. Lectures on what we talk about. So we have done 3-hour presentations, because there is a lot to this. It's not a simple type of thing to talk about. I just, had 15, 20 minutes to go over high level. If I were able to go into the detail of the science behind the brain, of all the different studies that are involved in stuff prior to everything else, you see a lot of these questions really answered.
Yeah, I don't think.
And it's
those
hard to
things
bring it up in
disputable,
an
Right, I think we all in agreement that family engagement is not where it should be.
Yeah.
That the technology sometimes is an added support
Yeah.
to that. And I believe that engagement happens best when it's.
And I think the other part is because everyone's so used to systems being negative when there's a problem. You have to understand that it's not fully there, that negative. As an example, would be is Johnny got 100 today. Way to go. Imagine getting that note coming automatically from the teacher, et cetera. Hey, look what my kid's doing. I'm happy.
Right, okay, so that's perfect. I gotta understand how that way to go gets to the parent, because in a book, it doesn't say that it goes in through this system. Hey, way to go, John. Right?
Oh, because basically what happens is, if I'm a teacher, right? And I'm going to use this, and these are just broad strokes, but use an example, out of 20 students, 5 of the kids and 5 of the parents drive me nuts, right? For lack of a better, so they take all the attention. 10 kids and 10 parents are there and don't get any response. And you need to let them know that, it's a pleasure to have your child in class. You have to have positive support. And what this does is it allows that to basically have that exchange.
Okay, so how does that next thing, right? You tell me, the parent's gonna get this, I wanna make the connection so I can see the value, right? So. How does that
Yeah, okay,
happen?
so maybe this is the best way to put it.
Like, okay, I have a 37-year-old,
Mhm.
a 31-year-old, a 27-year-old, a 12-year-old, and an 8-year-old, right? So my education with them as a parent has all been different. My communication with teachers has all been different. Today, my wife texts back and forth to the teacher, there's an engagement, right? And it's two-way, it's not with every student, right?
Right.
It's not with every parent. But that's a direct communication that I'm having already with the teacher, right?
Right?
How does this replace that or
It
enhance
doesn't,
it?
it enhances.
And how does it get somebody that's not gonna be bothered with the regular text that I have easily access? Right? I can go see that teacher when I pick up my kid because they're in the elementary.
So let me explain.
Like, I wanna understand what you said. The kid's gonna get, mom's gonna get a message. Wow.
So here's, back to that, remember I said about the 90 and the 80 of my expectation?
No,
Great, let me, I'm gonna use.
Follow the line so that I.
So here's what happens. A child, when their parent first logs in, the default is an 85. As for what my expectation is. I can change it. My daughter's not the greatest athlete. I'm gonna put phys ed down to 75. She loves reading. I'm gonna pull history up to 95. I can make it adjust to basically what my child's strengths and weaknesses are, okay? But here's what happens is when that, because of my expectation, when that child gets, we'll say like an example, 73, which is also the test the child's not going to show the parent, all right? And because learning is cumulative, the parent's getting that notification immediately. Your child got a grade significantly lower than your expectation, and to discuss it so that we can see what we can do to remediate that in as fast a time frame as possible. If there's an attendance problem, typically if a child is late and they're in grade school, the parent knows it. They were the one who was at fault for that, right? So you don't have to say to the parent, why is the child late? You basically say, chronic absenteeism has an effect on this child's future. What can we do to help? So it's taking the same issue and instead of pointing the finger, it's asking, how do we collaborate to improve things? But these things can be automated. Basically what happens in good technology, we did not write this because this is what Joe Frattoni thinks. This is based upon interviews with hundreds of teachers, of working with parents, of all the research that's out there, et cetera. And basically, the idea is you embody the best practices into a technology that can answer and automate certain things based upon what has been successful across the board. As an example of, if you haven't been contacting the parent, then just tell the parent, it's great to have your child in class. Would you like to send this to the teacher? Yes. And I can click which parents I wanted to send it to, and it's like that, and it's going. And it doesn't take, it's not gonna make a bad teacher a good teacher, but it's gonna make that teacher who aspires to be great, who still doesn't have that experience, to learn what is required to be able to do. And that's basically it. Similarly, you're starting to train the parents. The idea would be is, remember we were talking about the work habits of a teacher, saying who's putting in all this information, right? If a teacher, a lot of times, I'm not saying this is across the board, but let's say in high school, teacher tells the class, I'm gonna have a test on Tuesday, right? Test comes on Tuesday, they're gonna grade it on the weekend, something happens, it goes to the next weekend. They then post a column in the grade book, and they post the grades. And by the time the grades are actually reported, it's been 2 weeks since the parent could have had input. What we require, and there are certain things to do this, is that the teacher quick post, we said, there's gonna be a test on Tuesday, they post a column that there's a test on Tuesday. We have that by midnight on Thursday. Why? Because if we're gonna train parents to look at this over the weekend, you've gotta have what's going on the following week. And I basically go, there's a test on Tuesday. If that test isn't graded in a timely fashion, that's also basically, now that we know when the test is being given, that's alerting again to the principal, et cetera, to be able to implement that. It's the velocity of information flow to the parent so they can help take care of these issues that go across the board.
But teachers already do that, like teachers be sending out, like, here's what we're doing for the week, that's something teachers do, or if there's a test.
I completely
And
agree with you.
also-
You're,
Also, that puts on extra pressure on the teacher to grade stuff in like a 2-day window, like that's like an unrealistic.
no, it can be identified by the principal on what that should be, and that's, see, you're now, and that's the point. But who's the customer in this? The teacher? You wanna make life easier for the teacher, or do you want the parent to be able to help with the future of their child? So there is a middle and discussion on what works on this stuff, and that's basically what you're talking about. Because you're going to find that's exactly what we need to do.
You have a couple people.
Yeah.
Rosa,
Yeah, who has their hand up?
Rosa Diaz has her hand raised, and Johanna Dominguez as well.
Oh, Johanna,
excuse me.
I'll let Rosa go first.
Go ahead, Rosa. Rosa? Rosa, if you're speaking, you're muted.
I was muted. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to provide a little bit of input. Hi, Joe. I know that we are the Manhattan High School President's Council level. We gave Joe full support when it comes to this application. And also at the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council, we provided full support for these applications, and we saw the necessity that parents are having right now with getting their kids' grades and all the information. And I think it's a wonderful tool because right now we do not have anything like this application at all. I have 3 kids, one in elementary, one in middle school, and one in high school. They like each district works like differently. Every single teacher is like educates the students differently, and every child is unique and special. The only thing that we're losing is the parent engagement. Parents don't have that engagement or that tool that is able to support our own child. And I do think that the happy face, smiley face, it is for the parents. I don't know if you like gave a whole detail when it comes to like the happy face and sad face. It is for actually the parent to kind of like find the level that we're comfortable with, because we as parents know our children best. And I know that this tool provides a lot of data, and also provides it has a lot of languages that the parent will receive a text message in their own language and send a message to the teacher in their own language. So it has a lot of different tools and opportunities for parent engagement with the school, and also to know my child better, how my child is doing in school, because I know what my child is capable of when they're home, but when they're in school, sometimes, you know, they might go through a couple of hiccups, and I don't know that, but having a direct communication with the teacher is a plus. I know that all the schools have their own messaging system, and most of them do not work, because I am a testament of what is going on in New York City public schools. And out of the 3 districts that my kids are in, one of them is doing horribly. So I know that this application, this tool, is one of the most amazing tools that a parent can benefit from, because we are able to see our own child's education. That's what I wanted to know, and also to thank Joe for his amazing work.
Thank you, Rosa. Do you want to acknowledge
Thank
Johanna
you.
next? Or-
Rosa, have you used the tool?
I was actually, they came to present at Manhattan High School. They came to present at the CEC, District 4, and they came to present also at the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council, and we all provided our full support, because he showed how the application works, and he showed the messaging system, he showed everything. He explained in full detail, and there was a lot of parents' engagement, and they were like, oh my God, this will be a great tool for parents to actually know directly how our kids are doing. You know, the little happy face and smiley face, I love when y'all explain it. It's for us. It is for parents to know, okay, you know what? I know my child is, and I'm going to be this kind of score, and I know how I will be able to support my child in doing the best that he can do, that he or she or they can do.
All right.
Was in that one, yeah.
Thank you, Rosa.
Johanna to go. Thank you, Rosa.
Oh, shoot. Johanna, 1 second. Hold on.
Somebody stepped.
No, I can't do it from here. First, I messed up my my permission there. Johanna, you can speak. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Hi, my name is Johanna Dominguez. Aaron, to the person who's presenting, this is the first time that I see these apps and all this presentation. I'm part of the CEC4 too as a treasurer, and I'm the PTA president of my kick school. Everything sounds wonderful, but I have many concerns, as David and everybody right there. I don't want to lose the one-to-one with the parents. Parents start talking to you when they trust you, when they see you, not when they have an app. Even that, I don't want we lost the point of some parents doesn't know how to use an app. Some parents, they don't even know how to use the phone sometimes. They don't respond emails. In our community, we have many ways to give information to the parents, like flyers on the backpack, emails, texts from the school, for the district office, for all that. And even that, some parents don't have the engagement, not because they don't care. It's just because sometimes they don't have the time or they don't understand the system. So, okay, it's going to be super nice. The apps is really useful, but it's going to be useful for the same parents that you already have. It's not going to increase the engagement of the parents that you don't have so far right now. Parents get engaged when you have the one-to-one with them, when you come to them and you talk about their child, like my child is this way, and you see that that teacher is really paying attention on what happened on my child. Even that you have apps that show you the nice face or the sad face. I'm not going to take really nice that I see a sad face on my kids for whatever reason that the teacher wants to put it on over there. Or which way I'm going to defend my son to or my daughter to understand, like, oh, you gotta have sad face today, but he's not supposed to because just he wasn't sleeping off. You know, it's many things that we're going to be losing if we're doing these apps right now. I don't think it's going to increase the parents' engagement. I think parents get more comfortable when you talk to them one-to-one and you let them know, I'm here, this is what your student is running on. And that's my big concern. I don't think this app is, and I really scared again to using money for things that we can't even, that we don't even need right now, and then we need that money for something else. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Johanna.
Let me respond to that on a couple of ones. Number one, you're absolutely right. Nothing's going to, change the importance of that personal one-to-one touch between the teacher and the parent. And that is sometimes very hard to do, especially as a teacher, when as a middle school or high school teacher, I'm teaching 140 or 160 kids in a given day. That's number one. Number two, the teacher does not put on the unhappy or happy face. That is actually coming from the parent. Based upon your expectations, this is how the child is performing. And the goal is to get happy faces. It helps to understand what your child's ability is, because that's exactly where this is going to do it, to make sure that there aren't unrealistic expectations of the child. And that's pretty much it. One of the things that I got interrupted on, back to that, where I put in an expectation of 90 and that my child gets a 73. When a child gets that grade so substantially off, it's going to go from a happy face, because it's based upon the parent's expectation, to a sad face. We've all, now it's going to be a sad face and an alert, obviously, to the parent. And the parent doesn't do anything, doesn't respond, doesn't look at it. It's going, after 2 weeks, turn to a gray circle, which means the teacher can see the parent go on autopilot just when they're needed. And it expedites that outreach of the teacher to make that personal contact with the parent, because that is where the issue is. And that's really what this is all about. It's an early warning system. It's not trying to take the place of anything. It's trying to help expedite these conversations that should be there, strengthening the parent-teacher partnership.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing I guess I would mention, and it's really hard to do on a slide presentation or a presentation like this, typically I couldn't hook up. I could do a demo on my phone, and you would get in a minute, literally in a minute or 2 minutes, oh, wow, this is really easy. Because again, most apps don't come with help documents, you just go right to it. And this has been built to be almost like a gamified type of thing that becomes very easy to understand and comprehend. The amount of training is negligible, takes 5 minutes.
Okay, I haven't spoken, but you answer one question. So this is basically targeted to when you say K-8, and then it's high schools, or as you try to penetrate system by system, where's your target?
Our target is basically K-12.
Okay, K-12, so that's the whole system,
Yes.
three ways. So when it's when an existing service is already there, like the Google situation with the parent, are you trying to, you come to my school, are you looking for a percentage or 100% of that cooperation? Or does it operate cooperatively without creating more work and reporting back and forth in exchange? Do you have half the school, half the parents adopting? 3 ways.
Quite frankly,
Adopting and using both. Adopting only that and staying on the other side.
No. Typically, if I were going to give you from an IT standpoint, how this works is we have down at the bottom different databases. And just so you think about it that way, you may have your Google learning management system that ties into where you also have attendance and you have the grades and everything else, the STAR system or whatever it is up here, et cetera. And then what we have is what we're calling our parent database. If a parent's an equal partner in our child's success, no one asks these questions. We do, including, all kinds of stuff about the child. The other key to this is the parent owns those records. They don't stay with the child. So in other words, this is only, you're providing the information to support your child. But at the end of the year, it's expunged. It's a privacy issue that's very important to understand, because if they're the problem with that child, it doesn't exist, it disappears, okay? However, we overlay those existing systems to do our identification, our analysis, and then present it in such a usable way to do all those things. quite frankly, our usage, and I would be able to show you how that works, drives increased usage in the other systems. Because this is the entry level for a lot of parents to understand what's going on and becomes the glue to tie to these other systems.
So my question is not about how it works. I'm talking about usability. I'm talking about how teachers, administrators are overloaded with all these different things they have to address. So I'm saying, how could that be? Is yours compacted enough where the extra work doesn't come into play?
There isn't any extra work. From a teacher standpoint, the only quote extra work is talking to the increase of families who want to talk to the parent, which is exactly what you want it to be. However,
Let me ask this, I'm sorry.
sure,
I guess a two-part question, right? You have to, as Russell was indicating, you have to get buy-in from the parent, to get the school, well, the school's paying you to do this, right? Like, so every parent has to agree to use this,
no,
right? Well, what I mean by that is, you send this out, we have this program now that's available for you as a parent, right? Why would I be engaged in this when I'm not engaging in anything else?
because it's so darn easy.
No, like, even just open it, right? Like, we had to call a kid today, a parent today, it took hours to get hold of a parent that was a medical condition, right? How does this help that engagement of that parent? If who's not going to even open this, right? We send out email blasts every day.
Right,
All
yeah,
parents,
yeah.
schools, after school, it goes to every parent. And parents will come in the next day and say, oh, you didn't tell me about this.
Well, this gets into the psychology of certain things, and I'm not gonna get into the real super detail. If you get too many messages, you turn them all off. I don't look at all my
No,
emails.
but what I'm saying is, there are parents that we have historically, like,
Sure,
50% attendance.
right.
And we're calling and we're reaching out. It's not improving this, right?
Two things to that, and I'm agreeing with you,
Like, could you use this as a thing for attendance? Like,
and,
I'm not getting my kid up to school whether you call me.
right.
How's this gonna replace that work of?
And it's
That's-
unfortunate for that child. I mean, basically, the way one state superintendent said is that this, and I don't know the right answer because I'm not going to go that far, but this is identifying the issue to understand the magnitude of the issue and what we need to do. The, one of the four state superintendents, because we've worked with lots of states, said, you know, a child can't pick their parents, but we're still responsible to educate that child, which is exactly where it is. Because by identifying this, we can quantify the magnitude of the issue and go after resources to satisfy that. I don't know the answer on what that is, but I do know you need the quantification to show that. And that's really what a lot of this
In
is.
the pilot programs that you did in Queens, what was the percentage of parent involvement in this?
My guess, and this is just offhand because I don't know how offhand, is,
That would be important, no?
see, again, a lot of it had to do with our focus on that. I
Well,
remember
you
watching
went to school, there's 700.
35, I'd say 35%.
When you quoted me the amount of money a school would have to pay, that's based on 100% participation.
Well, no, but then again, back to the
If
same.
not every parent participates.
But
there are
think
less
about it
parts.
this way, if even back to that, we'll say the 500 students for $6,000, if it's just only one kid in school, it generates a profit for the school in the sense of a budget standpoint.
Right,
So,
but is your goal to increase my budget, is your goal to increase parent engagement?
my goal is to increase student achievement. Because the reality is, if I'm a superintendent, and this is a hard way of looking at it, because as much as many of the issues that affect the education of a child, they're really outside the purview of the educational system. Many times, that's why you have CBOs and everything else involved in this. However, as a superintendent, I'm responsible for two things, fiscal responsibility and student achievement. And family engagement in that mindset is only used to improve student achievement if possible. And without quantifying how that is doing, we only do what we have to do. We don't go any further. So even though out of the, and this is across the country, out of a $15,000 budget that is spent per year on a child's education, and it's like 28,000 in New York City.
But we
$10
don't get it all based on the.
$10, I understand, that's what I'm saying, the 15,000, right?
Right, so.
But only $10 goes towards family engagement. And that's because it's not quantified, you don't fund, if it's not quantifiable, it's not fundable,
So that's
that's what
the-
happens.
So
And you have to realize you have to handle
So
that
you're talking about
administrative
fiscal
side.
responsibility, and you have about 35%, you said. Use the program from the school, that means I'm paying 3 times the amount per student using this than if all the students use.
On the contrary, if it just kept any one child in school that it had, you've made a profit, and that's basically the idea we are looking at. Eventually, again, it was a pilot, and there's lots of issues that I get into, it would increase over time as the amount of parents using this. And that's the key. You're not gonna have it all at once, you're not forcing parents to do it, you let it grow naturally, because it is so much easier, and it grows that way.
Not trying
And
to,
parent,
not trying to cut it.
Yeah.
You're here to expose this to it, and
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
we supposed to do?
Yeah, I was about to ask that question because, but also I have one more thing before I get to that.
Yeah.
Because I wanna respect everyone's time, I appreciate you coming out here.
No.
Oh, okay, it's, something doesn't sit right with me. Just this one thing. You were mentioning you're all for student achievement. I think everyone here at this table is all for student achievement. We wouldn't be here. However, you're focused on one aspect, you're gonna end up neglecting the other. When I mentioned the fact that it's gonna put pressure on teachers based on what the parents want, because we have parents, I'll be for real, we know this in education. You give a test one day and the parent expects for it to be graded sometimes the day of, and that's not reasonable. You're saying, you said something that it was like, you're like, well, that's just gonna be up to the principal to put the pressure on the teachers. We have a problem, let me finish, please.
Sure.
We have a problem currently right now that also what is affecting family engagement is teacher burnout. We have a teacher shortage currently, and it's only gonna get worse. So this now adds pressure on, you're saying it doesn't. However, there's a new system, there's added stuff, they have to learn a new system, they have to adapt to a certain thing, it's a lot, and I'm gonna be honest, the DOE changes the curriculum every year. I've had second graders, either as a paraprofessional or as an after-school counselor for the past 3 years now. And it's a different curriculum every year, so these teachers are having to think about it, it's the added pressure of having to learn a new system, having to learn a new curriculum. It's different things, so that's also, and that's gonna end up contributing to the lack of student success if there's no teachers to teach the students. We have class size regulations to meet this year, and if we can't get more teachers, we're not gonna meet those.
So, first off, there was a miscommunication, and I apologize if it was. What I meant by the principal is the principal, this system is configurable to what is a proper amount of time to respond to post that grade. So in other words, it's not that I am saying it's gotta be today or 3 days. It's what the school configures is reasonable to do. It can also be changed based upon the class and grade as well. So this is highly configurable to manage what needs to be done. You don't want to have everything turning bright red in the beginning. You want to set it low enough that you feel comfortable and slowly tweak it higher. That's number one.
I'm all for parent engagement, however, this puts a little bit too much of parents dictating. There has to be a balance.
So
There has to be a balance where a parent cannot tell us as professionals what we necessarily have to, how we want to collaborate with the parent, but now it's a little
and
bit.
it hasn't changed. Again, because we're not having the parents dictate this at all.
But you're having them put like their expectations for the.
But
it's-
number one thing a parent can have for a child is expectations. That is
Okay, I
historical
agree with
across the
that,
board.
yeah.
That's what this does. It forces, I shouldn't use the word force. It promotes, it incentivizes parents to put something there. And then they see how their child is doing and realize where they really need. Because if you tell everyone Johnny's doing okay, and you don't need to worry about it, when a parent and doesn't do anything, when they find out, one of the worst things that ever happened, and as a parent, we've all been there, when I feel I let my child down because I wasn't there when I could have been, because I didn't know, and that is horrible. You live with that and you feel bad about it. This changes that paradigm pretty strongly. Also, let me explain something else that happened at the pilot, because we actually started at the end of one year and did it the next year. Okay, out of the, obviously, one of the first things to do is present to all the teachers in the school, which was like 35, 40 people, including some of the special ed teachers, et cetera. Out of that, I would say 35% of the teachers, a third, were just absolutely, I can't wait to do this. The other 2/3 said, as long as it doesn't change what I really got to do and they're going to buy into it, I'm fine with it. And there wasn't anything. The 3 teachers that were all upset, the principal is jumping up and down in the side of the stage going, they know they're going to be caught because they've been mailing it in the entire time. This is going to cause them to have to do that. The next year, all 3 voluntarily had moved to different schools because they knew this was going to be implemented. Not that you're expecting to do that, but the reality has been, we have found teachers absolutely love this system. In presenting to various schools in New York City, the answer has been, can this tie to even more systems? And the answer is eventually, hopefully it will, because we don't see me talking about behavior, because that's a very, very tough subject to get right. And we don't write the rules. We want to learn before we get there to do what we're doing. So there's quite a bit of stuff in there, behind the scenes and all this stuff. Again, you can't paint everything with a broad stroke, and it's really hard. But this is built to be configurable, to manage the way things are, and to gradually increase or improve things as things do improve. It provides data to establish what we need to do next, identifying things where we find gaps, if you will. It readjusts the parent coordinator role to a much higher position because it now has data behind it. Without that data, parent coordinators don't get as much respect in the schools as they would like. And how do I know this? I've done the professional training with the parent coordinators in the high schools, and that was one of the #1 things that came up. So that's basically it. I'm sorry.
Are you here requesting a letter of support? Are you here requesting an acknowledgement that you came here?
I would like to see a letter of support if possible, but at the very least, a letter of acknowledgement that we did come out here to spend the time and have this discussion, which I really appreciate, by the way. As much as maybe I come off strong on my opinions, I've talked across the board. A lot of times you've heard the same things, and in reality, when reality hits, it doesn't exist. And that's one of the really interesting things. One of the things that I love showing that I didn't do in this presentation is that there was a study of across the country, 1,000-some participants, and they said if a child makes progress in school, is successful in school, who's responsible for that success? And the #1 response was the parents, the families. Second, followed by the student. The student worked hard, the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree, et cetera. And down at about 13 and 14% were teachers, then a little bit lower the school and the district, et cetera. Then they asked the exact same parents, if a child is not successful in school, is not making progress, who's responsible for that lack of progress? And I guarantee you, every principal and teacher goes, like this. The #1 response was the families. They know what's going on, followed by the student. And still at 13 and 14% across all demographies was the teacher. I go, and what do we get out of that? Parents know it's their responsibility. It's my child. And in sense, if you think of this as a service, I give you my child to educate them. If it's not successful to my expectation, I'm at fault. I need to do something about it. And whether that is to spend more money to improve the schools, go to a different school, get additional help, et cetera. That's important. Unfortunately, there are going to be kids who fall through the cracks because the parents aren't doing the job they need to. And the reality is that the purpose of a lot of what we do is we educate a parent how to be a parent in support of the school. The bar is really low. We value the parents, who they are, where they're at. But basically, it is, how was school today? The number one thing you can probably do is, how was school today? What are your expectations? Did you get your homework done? You know, what else is going on? How do you get along with people? And these are the type of things to engender to the child that school and education is important to that parent. But how do you start that? If your parent never told, and did that for you, you don't know. You're always surprised to find out you didn't know what you didn't know. You're that gray circle. And you want to know, how do I break this mold? Because I want the best for my child. And that's what this is all about. Is to help to educate those have-nots that you can't get to. And it might not get to all of them, but there are a lot of them, as you had mentioned, that are technically deficient. And it's much easier to play a video game than it is to look at a metric
No,
report.
and you know what, that's where I'm sure with some parents that this will be something that they engage in and
Mhm.
enjoy doing. And maybe find it more interactive in some complexities. I think in the short, we can all agree on student achievement, this is paramount, right? Student success, and that family engagement plays a big role in achievement and success of a student, right? So I think we all can agree on that. Chair?
Alright. So basically when we do, letters of support, unless it's very, very urgent, we wait, to the next month, so the committee can have more time to process, look back, ask any questions, follow-up questions if we need to. So, if you're okay with that, we will vote on that next month. And
Sure.
thank you for coming in person. We appreciate when people come in person. So
Well, I knew this was gonna be a charged.
Yeah, and
Communication.
No, it's good. And you
It's
should
not,
be on next
nothing
week.
personal.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
that's
not
not-
off, believe me.
Yeah, you should also be on next month so that if there are any questions that come up that you may be.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Are you comfortable maybe bringing an individual that went through the pilot program, if that's something, you know, so they can share their experience, or is that possible? I know we were going over the laws and such.
The way that I heard Rosa talk, I thought maybe she'd use it, that's why I asked.
I'll do a demo right after this, right now, and you can see an idea of seeing an emotion as opposed to static pictures,
Okay.
which doesn't tell the full story. And I think that may help fully understand. And she has seen this beaten up by the deputy chancellor at that level with family and
Well,
community
I
engagement.
think we can all agree
you know,
that we all
so-
have different
Right,
cups of tea in
Mhm.
terms of how do we get to student achievement, success, and parent engagement.
Mhm.
And again, you know, we're in a video world, so this does engage some people, and you know, again, the more support.
But I'm supportive of, I understand what he says. Something that's new to something that's existing, and how do they collide and how do they coexist?
I'll give you a classic example of something like this, because when you mention Google, a lot of times people also go, and I don't know how it is in New York City, but a lot of school districts provide each teacher with a web page where they can publish what's going
Yeah.
on this week, right?
Their school.
Right, and a lot of times, even though that this district provides that, even though you think that's going to be the answer, a lot of teachers go, but I don't like that system. Here's my webpage, okay? If I have 3 kids, 1 in middle school, 2 in high school, and let's say they have 6 major courses each, right? That's 18 different websites I gotta know where to go to. What parent has the ability to comprehend that? So what we do, and I'll show you this, when I provide this, is the teacher just puts in for their club, my website. So you know what the parent does when they're on the site? It teacher's website, it brings it up. That's great, because it makes it so much easier for a parent to navigate the complexities, because it's one thing to focus on one child.
Get it on a piece of paper, yeah, this comes home, here's the website for the teacher, and this is where you get your information from, and then I put it in the phone, it's there, you know, again, okay.
Again,
I'm different, I'm not.
I get it, I'm just showing you, believe me, this has been something that was, oh, wow.
It took me years to get to the digital world of music, and I'm a DJ, so.
Hey, I'm fully there, believe me. I came from the age where they told me you can't type, that's a secretary's job. And I go, put me behind the gate, but you know, so I get that.
So I appreciate you coming tonight. I just want to be respectful of everyone's time, so, we will vote on this next month. These letter of acknowledgement sounds like what you would like, so, or support, sorry, letter of support. So we will, either way, I want the committee to have time to process everything. All right, so thank you so much. Is there any,
Thank you.
if there's any more
Thank you.
questions,
Sure, no
we
worries.
could.
I enjoy it.
Email.
No,
Yeah,
I agree.
You don't move forward unless you start pressing on pain points, period.
No, I mean,
You know,
again, we all have different, you know, I was never a ping pong kid, I mean, you know, all that Video game. I play pool and ping pong.
I played poker.
All right,
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much.
thank you. All right,
Thank
any
you.
old business? All right, see no old business next?
Budget, okay. No, I ain't got nothing to say, don't worry.
You're the budget leader, don't
You know,
Any
he
new
has us
business?
working.
No new business.
All right, so roll call, please.
Got it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Can I show you a demo?
Wait,
Well, we got,
We gotta wrap this up and then.
Wait, I see a hand up. Is that old man?
Rosa? Rosa, you're muted.
Yes, I'm always muted. I apologize. Is it possible for me to give like 2 minutes of updates, maybe 1 minute of updates?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Manhattan High Schools, we are going to host the Manhattan High School Candidate Forum on March 14, which is this Friday at 6 p.m. Please, everyone, welcome to join and listen in to all the candidates that are going to represent us. Any questions, please send it to MHS Press, PRES, council@schools.nyc.gov. Also, we are going to have our Manhattan High School's President Council monthly meeting, March 24th at 7 p.m. We're going to have the Office of Developmental Disability. We're also going to have a Hidden Gems, Superintendent's Reports, and train PAPTAs. And on Thursday, we're also going to have CPAC, the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council, presentation by District 4 Family Leadership Coordinator Nancy Pereira present on PAPTA, everything that new parent leader needs to know, how to follow chancellor's regulations, and how to support other parents and their constituents. And also, if you haven't heard it from Malik or from Mr. Schuler regarding your amazing budget that we'll be able to utilize it, please speak to them at your most earliest convenience. Thank you so much.
I forgot. Try to get our money?
Yeah.
Well, we need our money.
All right, is that it, Rosa?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And
You forget it.
what
What's the meeting yesterday?
are we talking about parks for the
For
Earth Day?
Earth Day, how much could we contribute to Earth Day, to the other committee?
That would have to be voted this month, right? Or
Well, what are we doing with our event if we need the money to do our event?
that's what I'm
That's
saying.
what the question was. If we have an event,
We,
I'm on
we,
both
we should
committees.
be
No,
having it,
okay, so
yeah,
we need to make sure we discuss that next month.
yes, I'm.
Right.
it's
Yeah.
for now, we got it for April. Ours is April 22nd.
I know, yeah. Would we be able to vote on?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not
I'm trying to think.
the money, it's how much too.
I'm asking.
It's 500.
If you would wanna vote on it next month, is that what you're asking now?
Yeah, are we able to?
You'd be able to vote on it next month, and even in the, during the full board meeting, even though that might be.
Brought up.
It could be brought up that, yes, the committee
Yes,
adopted too.
we just close, I forgot the number, it's still being.
Okay, let me, Rose, I'll call you this week.
Thank you.
We doing something that we ain't.
Yeah,
got
we,
money.
we,
And we ain't doing.
yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying, so I will talk. Oh,
I ain't got money.
we will, yes, roll call, please.
Okay.
Sure, no problem.
You trying.
David Giordano,
I'm here.
John Green.
Not here.
Here.
Thank
He's
you,
here,
John.
man. Hey,
Thank you, John.
came in late.
Oh, don't do him like that, he's always like.
Malik McCullough, Malik, I saw I had his hand raised, sorry, Malik, but Malik.
Too late now.
No, it's all good, y'all. We spoke about it, okay?
Paul
It's fine, I'm here. Yeah.
Thank you, Malik. Thank you. Jennifer Meyer?
Present.
Thank you, Jennifer. Jessica Moore is absent. Asher?
Present.
Thank you. Isaac Scott is excused. Russell Schuler?
Present.
Thank you.
Alright, this means adjourned at 8:10 PM, alright, thank you.
Can't keep people too late.
Oh, interesting.
That's what it is.
All right.
But you lucky because.
You were the only one today.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was anticipating, so I kind of enjoyed it. If I knew it was gonna be that much, I